Hi, folks. Welcome to the MGT platform demo. I'm Annalise, and I have my colleagues here joining me. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. I'm going to give it just a minute or two. We'll do some introductions. We can go ahead and we'll start with Jason Johnson, who just joined us.
Hey, you're not going to catch me off guard. Hi, I'm Jason. It's nice to see everybody here. I'm sure that these two wonderful folks already talked to you about it, but this is a very exciting time of the week for us. We love meeting with our agents, and I have the privilege of working with both of them and a much larger team that our entire purpose is to be here and promote the independent agent and get you all the tools that you need, help you write some amazing MGT business. So it's so exciting when we can get together with y'all on a call. Thank you very much for joining us today. Allie,
Awesome.
are you up then? Or did y'all already do introductions?
No, we just started.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to join us. My name's Ali Essie, and I'm the head of partnership success over here at MGT. So excited to be working with you all and helping you make small business profitable.
Awesome, guys. And my name's Annalise, and I work in broker and customer success here at MGT Insurance. A lot of what I do is help you and your policyholders get the best coverage for their businesses. And so for today's demo, we're going to go ahead and we just did our introductions. I'm going to go over some of our new classes. I'm going to give you a demo. There's going to be time for questions and then contact information at the end. If at any point during this demo or this webinar you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to use the chat function down below. My colleagues will help me get those questions answered. So let's jump right into our new classes. So at MGT Insurance, we've recently just released restaurant classes. So restaurants, you can think small business, fine dining, sit down, fast casual, all the good stuff. Also barbecues, delis, things of that nature. The thing with restaurants, there are a couple rules and guidelines that we stick within. It has to close before 11 p.m. So if you've got any of those taverns or pubs who kind of stay open a little bit later, that's not going to fall within our appetite. They need to close by 11 p.m. Next, it has to be less than 50% alcohol sales. So if we're doing 60% alcohol sales, it's going to be out of appetite. Everything 50% or less is going to be good within our range. And unfortunately, no tableside cookies. So no hibachi, no hot pot, no Korean barbecue. But service at the table is completely fine. Like I mentioned, types of businesses are going to be fast food, casual, fine dining, donut shops, all the good stuff. If you've got like a boba shop or a coffee shop that does food exposures, you're going to want to run that under casual or fine dining because of that food exposure. For our coffee shops and juice shops and bagel shops, those are really for just the standalone juice bars, coffee bars that aren't selling any food or cooking anything on premises. But if you got a boba shop that has fried chicken or French fries, things of that nature, you're going to quote that under casual dining. One thing I want to note is food trucks are not an appetite. So if the food truck moves around from location to location, that's going to not make it an appetite. However, if you have a food truck that is at a permanent location, that does fall within appetite. So I know in Austin, Texas, a place that I mentioned a few times, there are a lot of coffee shops there that stay in one singular location but operate out of a food truck. So something like that is going to fall into our restaurant appetite. So quote these classes with us, guys. We're going to be a great place for these restaurant food classes. Next, I'm going to go a little bit over our website and then jump right into the demo. Right here on this image, you're going to see what our website looks like. If you go to mgtinsurance.com, it's really exciting. There's a few things that we have on our website that are very helpful. There's a chat support function. So you can utilize this chat support function at any time during the day if you have any questions about a quote or a policy. We have technology in place to kind of help you guide you through any sort of questions that you may have. If you find that within the chat function, you need a little bit more assistance. There's people like me and Jason and the service team who are operating this chat. So we want to give you guys the most resources as possible to get these policies bound. Next, we have an appetite agent, Amy, and she's a great resource for you to use to understand an MGT appetite. So if you're quoting a few risks or you've got a few things top of mind, you go to mgtinsurance.com, go down to our appetite agent, and you can just shoot some things to her. She's going to help you understand our appetite. I'm going to go ahead and sign into the platform now from this demo. So we'll see here now. Do you folks see my blue light screen, my MGT screen. Awesome. So when you sign into MGT Insurance, it looks a little bit different from what our website looks like. It takes you to this platform here. Just a caveat to you folks, in the next few months, we're going to be coming out with something very new, very pretty looking. So everything you see today is going to change in just a few months, but don't be worried. What we're bringing out is going to be even better than what we have today. But for today's demo, I'm going to show you all the ways that you can quickly quote within MGT Insurance. So once you're signed in, you're brought here to your dashboard, and there's a few things that you can do into your dashboard. You can quote. I'm actually not signed into the right one. Give me 1 second here, folks. Let me make sure I'm signed into the right quoting platform here. But within the MGT platform, there's a few things you can do. So this is a similar experience that you're going to have when you're signing in here. Let me just a little nervous when everyone's watching me type, as you can imagine.
We are too. We're all staring at you.
Oh, my face is getting hot already. I'm in. Alrighty, so we're logged into our MGT platform demo. And you'll see here that we're started right away where you can start a quote. So if you log in, you're ready to start quoting, you could start right here. I'm going to scroll down, just give you the lay of the land of what it looks like. We have our quotes tab right here. And so you'll see all the quotes that I've started here, all the way back until 4 pages. So anytime you start a quote, it's going to live here evergreen. If you want to update a quote, if let's say you start a quote in 1 month, 2 months later, the client comes back, you can pick up that quote where you left off, just change the effective date, and we're going to update everything on the back end. Next, we have your policies tab. So as soon as you take your quote from quote to bind, it's going to move right over here to your policies tabs, and you can see all the policies that I'm servicing here. One thing I'll note before we get into the demo is what your policyholder sees. So your policyholder has something called this self-service view, and you have the ability to see this self-service view for all of your policyholders so you can help manage their policies. But what's really good is that you can put this into their hands and they can manage their own policies. So under documents and communications, you can create certificate of insurance, you can get declarations page, and you can see all the communication that's happened between MGT Insurance and the policyholder. Under the self-service, they can also manage payments and the payments home, update billing information, or see when the next bill is due. And then under the account area, one thing I like to notice is you have the ability, or your policyholder has the ability, to not only update their password, which is pretty straightforward, but you can update the contact information, the mailing information all on your own. So you don't need to get to us for that. Your contact or your policyholder can update that themselves. So that is just a quick overview of what your policyholder can expect from MGT Insurance in the platform that we have today. So for this quote today, I'm going to just jump right into our quoting process. And right here, we're going to start with selecting your industry. So we have things in place that you don't need to memorize any industry codes. You can kind of just start typing out the word farm. It's going to give you everything that's related to farm. I'm just going to select fruit and vegetable store, and then we can start that here. If there is something that is out of our appetite, we're going to let you know right away. And within any time in this quoting platform, if you get this red text, that's essentially your signal to say, this isn't in MGT's appetite. Let me go ahead and move and quote somewhere else. So this red text is kind of a signal saying this is going to fall out of appetite. Today, what I'm going to quote is a fast food or fast casual restaurant. So I'm going to put an address here. We use Google Maps for our addresses. It's a way that we can kind of start doing the scoring and checking out the risk right away. So we'll go here and I'm going to go ahead and click go. And that's how we're starting our quote. Like I mentioned, we have this Google Maps, and what that does is it brings up the street view of the location that you're going to be quoting. So you'll see here that I'm quoting this burger place right here called Snarf Burger. And then you can kind of do some preliminary checks, make sure that there's nothing wrong with the building, no major cracks, no broken windows, things of that nature, just so you know that it's a good risk. For this quote, I'm gonna say, no, I'm not gonna do any building coverage, but we do offer building coverage here at MGT Insurance. There are certain guidelines, like if you're in a coastal area or high fire risk area, there are some restrictions, but for the most part, if you're in middle America or not too close to the coast, we can offer property coverage. I'm going to answer these questions here, and then I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And in just 1 second, I'm going to back out real quick and jump into a quote that I've already started for this same exact business right here. I'm going to drop to my quotes tab, and it's going to be right here for Snarf Burger. Going to jump right into this. I already have all the information filled out. Alrighty, so we're back into where I just went away from, and this is part one of the quoting process. So you'll see here, we're going to use the address that you just provided for us. So if you start a quote, you put the wrong address, you're going to need to start a new quote because we can't update that address. We've already started doing the quoting process. Right here, we're just making sure that you aren't doing any other businesses within that business. So let's say you have a convenience store, but within that convenience store, there's a deli and they serve food. Unfortunately, that's going to be out of appetite. We're really set up for just single risk businesses here. So basics of the business organization, Snarf Burger, phone number, estimated gross sales, business owner information. I always like to highlight here in this business owner's information, please put a valid phone number here. It's really important for us if we need to get in contact with the policyholder on your behalf that we have an easy way to do so. Sometimes if a payment is made or if cancellation request, something along those lines, and we want to get in contact with the policyholder, this phone number is what we reach for. So if you can put a valid phone number, it's highly suggested. And then I know I'm not doing any sort of property coverage, but for any other coverages, you can have up to four locations on a single policy. So your main location and 3 extra locations. It is preferred that it is all within the same state. I'm going to go ahead and click continue. It's going to take me into the next part of this quoting process. It's going to be step 2. It's just a little bit more of the basics of the organization. When do I want this coverage to begin? When was the business established? Just a little bit more about the insurance coverages that they've had in the past, whether or not they've had any claims. One thing I do like to highlight here is that we can bind coverage for the next day. So there's no same day bind as of right now. So if this business needed coverage today, the quickest we can get it for them is tomorrow. So just note that if you need coverage for the next day, make sure that the payment is made the day before so that the coverage can start the following day. We're going to go ahead and click continue here. And then I'm going to jump into step 3. So step 1 and 2 are kind of connected. We're going to go to step 3, which is tell us about your location. And so for this, I'm just doing a BPP only quote, asking what the building looks like, how much square footage is used. And then because it's a restaurant quote, we're going to be asking a little bit more questions, just making sure that we get all the information up front so that we can get this bound without an underwriter getting involved. So for risks that involve restaurants that have grilling, fry food, things of that nature, we always want to make sure that they have all the information or all the coverages. So if there's fat fryers, making sure that there's fire extinguishers, making sure, aside from the daily cleaning that's done every single day, that every 6 months a professional comes in and makes sure those hoods are all clean. And then same thing right here with the fire extinguishing system, every 6 months, making sure that's being inspected. And then the amount of BPP in the building. And we're going to go ahead and click continue. So we're using a lot of technology here to ensure that we're getting this quote without any sort of underwriter approval or referral needs. That's our goal here. So right here, we're asking for additional insureds. It's highly encouraged that we put this in during the quoting process, just to make sure that when we get these policy docs, all the information is present. So we'll select here, yes, I have an additional insured, lesser of equipment, lesser of premises, and then I'm going to go ahead and click continue. The additional insured is going to come back up during the payment process when we gather that information. And the last part of this quoting process is the optional coverages. So for this quote, I did select employee benefits liability and restaurant coverage here. You'll notice throughout this quoting process, there's these question marks. If you're unsure about the question or what it is we're asking, these question marks are cool little tool tips that'll just help you understand the questions or what it is you're selecting a little bit better. And then we'll click continue. And so for right here, for the employee benefits liability, we're just capturing a little bit information here, selecting what kind of coverage limits we'll want. And then we'll select here. Now we're going into the restaurant coverages here. So I've selected for spoilage, want to make sure that there's refrigeration services available. How much you want saved for your food contamination, depending on what you select here, is going to reflect on the price. Do you require fine arts coverage? So if it's a fine dining establishment and they have really nice paintings or sculptures, things of that nature. And then do you require coverage of loss to damage of a customer's vehicle? So if a vehicle customer's parked on your premises and then the delivery truck rams right into it, do you want to have that covered? We have that optional coverage here. We're going to go ahead and click continue. And that's it, folks. That's the four-step process here at MGT Insurance right now. If you have an easier risk like a law office, the quote can go a little bit quicker. If you have a quote that's a restaurant with property coverage, it can be a little bit longer. But all the questions that we're asking are what we feel comfortable getting for the quote process. So we're not going to ask any questions that we don't find necessary. We're not going to put you through the quoting process if we're going to deny the quote. So like I mentioned, that red text, if I would have gotten red text during this demo, I would see that it was out of appetite. But you'll see here that I've gotten this quote with all the optional coverages and all of the additional insureds without any underwriter approval. So this quote is bindable in the MGT platform. So far, this is what we feel comfortable offering in the quote. If you want to pay with the quarterly statement, it's $4,209, one upfront payment, three following payments. I know monthly payment for a restaurant is a highly requested thing from our agents. It's something we've heard and we're looking into releasing here in the next few months. And then the next thing we have here is annual payment. So if the policyholder decides they want to pay annually, get a little bit discount there. We'll see here that these are all the coverages that we've selected based on the information that has been provided. If at any point you decide you want to change these coverages, you want to update the deductible, you can recalculate the quote here and it'll do that. It'll update right up here. I'm just going to stick with the 1,000 to keep it the way we have. But that's what you would be able to do. You'd be able to recalculate the quote. At any point, if you select any of those drop-down menus, even if you don't make changes, it's going to ask that you approve that. So it just asked about liquor liability here. I don't have any liquor in this store, so it's just selecting that, making sure that I don't have any liquor in that store and there it's not going to be covered. So we're just recalculating this quote. And at this point, let's say this is the best quote. MGT has beat out all the competition. We've decided we want to bind this quote. It's the best coverage for the policyholder. We're going to go ahead and click continue. At this point, we're finalizing all the information that was provided in the quote and going to give the application here. We're going to move this forward to confirm and purchase. So if you didn't want to purchase it on behalf of your policyholder, you want to put the ball in their court, you're going to want to, oops, let me, before I get ahead of myself, we're going to go right here to the additional insureds that we're asking from earlier. So
Hey,
let me just
Annalise,
put, yep.
we got a couple questions.
Oh, awesome. Go ahead while I
Is that
fill
okay?
this out.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. So we have one from Christopher who was, are claims acceptable to your underwriting? And the answer to that is, do you want to answer it, Annalise, or do you want me to?
Oh, you can go ahead. While I
Okay,
fill
yeah. So the answer is yes, right? So obviously it's going to be dependent on the claims, the frequency, the volume of them, what the reason was behind it, what kind of like mitigation has been done since then, like all of those different things. But just generally speaking, absolutely, we can still consider some stuff that has claims on it. And then we had a second question, can we do agency bill or can I use external facing options? Can we add a broker fee if we are direct billing? So really good questions, right? So as it stands right now, we only offer direct billing as an option, right? But there are many agents who find their own ways to work around that. They add, their broker fees on top of it when they present the quote, and then, they can collect it in office and pay with their own finances to just set that up. We don't condone or encourage any of that necessarily, but at the end of the day, like we allow you an option to just put payment in, whether it's from, whatever bank account or credit card or whatever the case may be. So however it is that you all are used to working that out within your agency, like we can tend to accept it. But it is direct billing and of those two options. Great questions though. And thanks, Annalise.
Yep, definitely. Thanks, guys, for your patience. So just circling right back, we're at this purchase. So I've got this quote. I've decided it's the best quote. I want to purchase this. As an agent, you have two options. You can send it to the prospect. What that does, it's going to send the policyholder an email letting them know that this quote is ready to be paid in the MGT platform. They'll follow a link. They'll create an account. They'll pay the purchase for the quote, and then that quote becomes a policy within their platform, and then they accept terms and conditions. So as soon as that payment is made, it is now a policy, and terms and conditions are selected, and everything is all set. But if we decide to purchase on behalf of the policyholder, like we just mentioned, maybe you do things a little different, or you have the policyholder in office, they're ready to make the purchase, we can go ahead and purchase now. We'll see here that we have two options for payments. We're going to go ahead and select quarterly for this one. I'm going to be using a credit card. We use a third-party payment server here at MGT Insurance, so you can ensure that all your information is secure. I'm going to go ahead and put some billing information here. You'll see that it is saved externally once I select Save Card here. So let me just put this information here. And I put Taylor Snarf in commemoration of Taylor Swift's engagement. And then we'll go ahead and click Save Card. I just had to do it. And then we're going to go ahead and put the debit card right here. We do encourage auto pay here at MGT Insurance. It is automatically selected. It's the best way to ensure that all payments are made on time, renewals are moving smoothly. If auto pay is deselected and a payment is missed, policies do go into notice of cancellation. I've had to call a few agents and policyholders to kind of revert that policy from getting canceled. The policy does get canceled. We will allow reinstatement if the underwriter approves it, but that can only be done once. So if a payment is made and it's reinstated, and then the next month the payment or the next quarter payment is missed, the policy will not be reinstated. So that's why we highly encourage auto pay. Going to go ahead and schedule down here, make sure I agree to all the information, and I'm going to go ahead. It's going to ask me for an email address. I already know it. And again, using a valid email address, valid phone number for your policyholder is very important, folks. Like I mentioned, if we need to call them, we want to be able to call them directly. And then we're going to go ahead and submit payment. At this point, in the last, 15, 20 minutes, let me just make it test 2 then. Too many tests that we've had here. In the last 20 minutes, I've been able to get this restaurant quote started and bound here at MGT Insurance with no underwriting approval. So now Snarf Burgers is going to be insured as of tomorrow here at MGT Insurance. At this point, the policyholder gets an email saying, you now have a policy here at MGT Insurance. Please log in to create your account and accept terms and conditions. So this is an important piece. If the policy is purchased on their behalf, that they create their account, accept terms and conditions. After that point, all is set. And once they're signed in, they have the ability, like I showed earlier, to self-service their policy. So we'll see here that my quote for Snarf Burgers has gone away, and let's see if it's gone into the policies area. It's a little bit slow, but in just a few minutes, it should move right over to the policies tab. So folks, like I mentioned, this was a restaurant quote. It's a little bit longer, it took me about 20 minutes. But if you're quoting something like a beauty bar, nail salon, real estate office, those quotes go within 10 minutes or so. So let me go back here to my slideshow. So we're at the point of questions. I know some folks asked some earlier. Are there any more questions that we have in the queue?
We have one from Laura. Is the agent copied on the quote and binding emails?
The agent is copied on the quote and binding emails, and the agent information is also on the bottom of the information. So when your policyholder gets that email from MGT Insurance, it lets them know exactly who their agent is. And then in the self-service portal for all your policies, you'll be able to see all the communications that have been sent, and then you can service each of your policies there as well. One thing I'd like to note, folks, like I mentioned earlier in this demo, we're behind the scenes creating a lot of great tech, and we have a new platform coming here in just a few months. So don't get too comfortable in this platform. I know it's really easy, but what we've got coming next is going to be very exciting, and it's a great time to join MGT Insurance because we're about to level it up with what we've got coming next. And folks, if you want to take a screenshot of this information or just kind of note it down, these are all the ways that you can get in contact with us. So there's chat support, mgtinsurance.com. We've got a little chat bot to help you out, but there's humans right behind that chat bot if you need a little extra assistance. We have email support, underwriting support right over here, underwriting at MGT Insurance. we do have a 24-hour SLA for our underwriting request. As our volume grows, we're finding that, that 24 hours can slip into 36 hours. But if you have something that you need handled right away, email us, call us, and we're going to be able to kind of just move you up into the queue there. I really appreciate you folks joining our demo today. MGT Insurance, we're just getting started. What we've got is great, but what we're building is even better, and we're excited to have you guys with us. So really excited, folks. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Have a
Thank
great day.
you. Have a great day.